All right, we'll go ahead and get started. For the first time all season, we finally had some players of the game that we recognized as a staff, which we'll do after games that we win. Offensively, we had Charles Sims. On defense was Philip Stewart. Special teams, we had co-special teams players in Braxton Welford and Brandon Beasley. And then scout players of the week. On offense was running back Brandon Ellison. On defense was defensive back Jared Irving, and on special teams was Miller Pierce. So that was good to see. Just talking about what happened Saturday a little bit. It was good to win that football game for a number of reasons. I think one of the most important was our players and everybody in our program needed to experience some success and understand and learn what it takes to win a football game and the preparation that goes into coming out on top and being successful. I thought the preparation was excellent for the last 2 weeks, and I thought our preparation was actually better than our on-field performance. So that was encouraging. I was very proud of everybody in our program, our players in particular, for last week, really outside of here, really not doing any talking and really not doing any listening. And, we talked about that quite a bit in our team meetings of here's what we have to do to be successful, and whatever's being said out there, positive or negative, just try to ignore it, and you don't need to say much. We understand where we're at, what we need to do to get better, what we need to do to improve, and what we need to do to win this football game. And I was proud of our players and everybody really in our program for doing that. The one thing where we're at right now is obviously, I say obviously, it's different from where we were a week ago when I stood in front of you in terms of now it's how do we handle a little success. And we've won one football game, and we're supposed to win football games. So, and we've got a talented North Texas team coming here in 4 days. And literally, I think, and I told this to our players at our team meeting on Monday, everybody in our program may have enjoyed the win Saturday afternoon differently that evening. And I assured them that while I enjoyed it, I didn't, any celebration, and that's probably a poor word to use, didn't last very long for me. So Sunday morning, we already started working on North Texas, and in my mind and our coaches' minds, we were on to them Saturday evening. So that to me is critically important right now, that everybody in our program understands we won a football game, we're moving on to the next one. And as soon as you become complacent, as soon as you become satisfied, and as a player on the football team, as soon as you say, well, okay, everybody's now, I'm going to listen to everybody telling me how good I played and how good we are, and I don't think I need to really prepare this week like I did last week. That's when you take, as they say, 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. So what we told our coaches, our players, our trainers, our managers, everybody in our program is whatever you did last week preparing for the football game, you've got to even work harder this week. You've got to even prepare better this week than you did last week. And that is our mindset right now. We've got a team coming in here that we played last season. My coaching staff, like I've said, with some other programs we played this year that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Coach McCarney's done a great job in his coaching career. He's got a veteran group of assistants. It's their second year there, and it shows up on video. They've got talented players really in all three phases of the football game. And, the Chancellor kid is a guy we played last year. I remember him extremely well. I knew before I put the film on that he wore number 80 last season, and I think that was game number 2 we played him. And you look back on last season, and I know a lot of people have asked me with these opponents we played early this year, does last year's game have any bearing? But again, you look back on the team we had last season that won 13 games, and at halftime of last year's game, it was 20-17. We were ahead. So this is a talented football team. They're extremely well coached, and I think the thing that stands out more than anything is their ball security offensively and the way they've created turnovers defensively. They're +6 in the turnover ratio, which puts them as one of the top teams nationally at this point in the season. I think they've got 8 interceptions in 5 games defensively, and then they're explosive on offense. Chancellor plays receiver, plays some wildcat quarterback. They give him the football, try to get him in space, and then same thing. He's their return guy, and you even put on kickoff coverage for North Texas, and there's number 3. He's wearing jersey number 3 this year, and there's number 3 running down the field and making tackles. So he does a lot for them offensively. They got a couple of running backs that are good players as well. And then defensively, they're extremely sound, really good tacklers. And again, I already mentioned the turnovers. So we're going to have our job, our work cut out for us, and it'll be similar in preparation to last week. It's still primarily about us. And our message to our team yesterday was, while everybody's trying to text you and tell you how good you played and pat you on the back, and we still made mistakes in Saturday's game that we need to get corrected. Some were obvious. The false starts is something we've begun to address. We addressed it during the game, making the change midway through at center, which cleaned some things up. And some penalties in the return game as well. We missed a couple field goals that I'm confident Matt can make. So we can still play better. We still got some things to improve on. And again, the focus this week, while we've got an exciting opponent coming in 4 days, is going to continue to be on us and what we have to do better. The last thing I am going to back up myself and go back to the game Saturday and mention one thing. I think when you talk about a football game, a 60-minute football game that lasts somewhere around 3.5 hours, and people talk about great plays that young men made or great plays that were made in the game, and plays during the course of the game that could have affected it one way or another, given one team momentum. I think the biggest play in the game Saturday, to me, in my opinion, happened in the first quarter, and may not be on a lot of people's lists, but we had Rice, third down from our own 35, which with Boswell as their kicker put them in field goal range. We were winning 7-0, and on the sideline, I actually looked across, and they had their field goal team ready. And we get great pressure by our defensive front and linebackers, and Lloyd Allen comes off the edge and gets a sack for a 7-yard loss. So now, instead of being a 52 or 53-yard field goal, which is a chip shot for Boswell, now it's in the 60-yard range, and we force him to punt. So instead of probably making it become a 7-3 game at that point, we force them to punt, and we get the ball back, and it remains 7-0, and we get momentum. So to me, as you look at the course of football games, and that's what we talked to our team about yesterday, you never know when you've got a chance. Making a big play is not just Daniel Spencer catching that ball, keeping his balance, and scoring a touchdown, or Pylan scrambling out of the pocket, McDuffie working our scramble drill and throwing him a touchdown, making a big play. That was as big a play as there was in the football game, in my opinion, at that time. So I don't know. I wanted to at least make that clear. I thought that was an important play early in the game. But I will open it up for any questions. Nice to see you this morning.
Coach, what do you
I think the first thing would be consistency, and what I mean by that is while we weren't perfect, and nor will we probably ever be perfect, we played well defensively, well offensively, and well in the kicking game all in the same afternoon. And were there other things? Yes, but again, going into that game, you'd like to take our offensive performance against Louisiana Tech and maybe our defensive performance against UCLA and combine them, and that's what we had to do. That's what we have to do, and that's what I hadn't seen us do up till Saturday. And when you stand up here on Monday in front of the whole team, and you're able to tell 125 guys, hey, what you just did, we can be better, but that's what you're capable of doing if you put it all together. And that was a team victory. I told them that in the locker room after the game. Yeah, no, yeah, I understand your question. And my answer to that is yes, but again, and I don't want to sound like I'm a hypocrite or talking out of both sides of my mouth, while we are talking to our team now about it's an 8-game schedule, okay, we're still, and I'd lie to you if I say I don't know who we're playing next week, but I really, in theory, don't. We're focused on North Texas and Houston. That's it. Fixing what we got to get fixed, getting better, which we did yesterday at practice. Couple guys on a couple little things they didn't do well Saturday against Rice improved yesterday, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to improve Houston and focus on North Texas, and that's it. So I think confidence-wise, I hope we can look back in 2 months and say, wow, the Rice game springboarded our confidence. It showed our players what preparation can lead to. In the moment, I hope it does, but in the moment, we're looking at North Texas here in 4 days. That's the key. We're 1-0 and in conference, and we've got 8 games left. This next one obviously is the only one of the 8 that's not a conference opponent, but it's an extremely important opponent. We talked about that with our team yesterday as well. It's a team we played last year. There's some similarities in terms of guys we recruited, players that we know, players our own players know as well. And again, it's within the state. I told the team yesterday we're not playing, North Indiana Saturday or North Wisconsin. I mean, it's North Texas. It's right up the road. There's a lot of pride that goes along with any time you play teams, right in your backyard.
Coach, you have a mixture of veterans and young players in your secondary. Can you talk about how they're meshing together?
Our secondary is meshing together well, and part of that may stem a little bit from trying to find the right combination back there. And, again, Trayvon Stewart is an example, going from corner to nickel now to safety. Colton Valencia going from a special teams guy to a starter. Thomas Bates going from a special teams guy to working in the rotation at corner. I feel good about our mix right now back there. I feel good about our tackling. I feel good about our energy. I feel good, and we're not perfect. We've got, still some pass interference issues as well, but I like where we're at right now with where we have the guys positionally, where they're playing. I like the number of reps they're getting. Some are getting every snap. Some are going 60-40. And I like the mix of, old and new. And all you got to do is watch us play and see there's some energy with the new out there too. Trayvon Stewart is another example of a guy who, even when he doesn't make a play and he's the 11th guy running to the ball and the whistle's blown, he's high-fiving guys and jumping up and down. He didn't do anything, but it's contagious. And not only are the other 10 guys on the field seeing it, but the guys on the sideline are seeing it as well. So I like where we're at right now with our secondary.
And you moved Valencia and Stewart. You moved them closer to the line. Sometimes you moved them around in the secondary. Will you continue doing that throughout for the rest of the season?
We will, and that was a game plan thing. We wanted to take away Rice's not only their run game with their running backs, but their quarterback run as well. And you saw us blitz Trayvon Stewart at times as well, and that's something, based on the teams we're facing, trying to take away kind of what their strengths are. We felt like we had to limit Rice running the football. So we were able to drop an extra safety down into the box to basically get them outnumbered right before their quarterback snapped the ball. So yes, you will see that the rest of the season, but it depends a little bit on what kind of offense we're playing against.
And how does it help the defense to have a big physical corner like Hayden on one side and McMillan on the other?
It definitely helps, and I think what you've seen out of our secondary, and I say I think, I know what you've seen out of our secondary the last few weeks is improved tackling. So they've been physical. They set the edge better Saturday when Rice was throwing the bubble screens, which we did not do a good job of against Louisiana Tech. So it's, really everybody in the secondary right now. I thought there were some tremendous hits in the game on Saturday, and a lot of those weren't just Phillip Stewart and Everett Daniels. A lot of those came from our smaller defensive backs as well.
Coach, real quick, a couple depth chart issues or questions, changes in the depth chart. Adrian McDonald listed this week. Is that a injury situation or a performance?
No, and in fact, we played Adrian McDonald. We made a decision last week to take his red shirt off. He played on special teams Saturday, and is now in the 2 deep at corner. So he's a guy that in the next 2 weeks you're going to see him playing some corner or nickel. And he's another guy. He was a high school quarterback, came here kind of as an athlete, and has picked it up extremely quickly. So he's now playing as a true freshman, and is not injury related. No, it's not. The other guy, maybe you're going to ask about, when you look at what we've done here the last 5 years and playing guys that can help us win, it doesn't matter if a guy's a freshman, 60 or senior, walk-on scholarship from Houston or from out of state. And on our last kickoff, we put in a true freshman walk-on, Luke Stice, and ran down the field and made a solo tackle. So, and he's a guy that has been on the scout team for the last 4 weeks, and he's been on scout kickoff cover, and our starting kickoff return couldn't block him. So if our kickoff return can't block him, maybe theirs can't either. So we threw him in there, and lo and behold, he was the first guy down the field and made the tackle. So that's something we've taken pride in. But that's another guy that now is playing as a true freshman and will play more significantly, he and Adrian McDonald, this week on special teams.
Also, with the depth chart, the receivers, a little bit of a mix-up with the receivers. Rodriguez not in the 2 deep. Is that a lingering issue with the injury he's been battling?
Yes, and we took a step back with him last week injury-wise, and he'll probably be out, I'd say minimum the next 4 weeks. So, it's disappointing. He's disappointed. Would love to be playing. We'd love to have him play, but the injury he's got right now takes time to heal, and we'll have to make a decision once we probably get to November on if he'll be able to play at all the rest of this season.
Coach, I believe overall right now you're 8th in passing yards in FBS. How nice is that to have David Pylan step up in the way that he has, and to really step up as a leader and perform as well as he has?
Well, it's an interesting question because I'm sure I'm going to go on the radio tomorrow and someone's going to say, "Who's your starter this week? Are you considering a change at quarterback?" I get that question more than how's it been to see David Pylan perform so well. And again, within our program and within these walls right here, going off of the don't listen to what other people are saying, and certainly I don't have any time or want to listen to talk radio or read any internet stuff right now. But David, and I said this last week when I was really getting those questions, didn't do much in the first game, threw for 580 in week 2. Didn't do much in game 3. What is it? What's going on there? And I kept prefacing my answer with, I'm not I'm not making excuses for anybody in our program, starting with me. But week 3, we had, arguably one of the better players in the country in Charles Sims out, a bunch of receivers out, 2 O-linemen out. Then we lost Ryan Jackson to an ankle injury. Then we lost Ronnie Whip. So we became one-dimensional. So I think you hand what I'm seeing, what I saw him do in week 2 and week 4 is kind of what I expect him to do, to be honest with you. I'm not, I don't hug him after the game with tears in my eyes and say, wow, that was an awesome performance. I mean, he's playing like I expect him to play. He played Saturday like I expect him to play. And nobody out there, including me, was perfect Saturday. So he wasn't perfect. Everybody's got to improve. But the thing I'm more proud of with him than anything is his leadership. And again, we lost a bunch of seniors off last year's team that were very productive for us. And here comes the redshirt sophomore who, last time he played, 3/4 of the room of our players wasn't here. And in 2010, we didn't win a whole bunch of football games. And when I say I'm proud of him becoming a leader, it's not so much seeing him rally the team or seeing him talk to the offense or seeing him grab the O-line, but it's watching his teammates respond to him. And that's when you know a guy's a leader. You'll have, you've got to become a leader, I believe, you've got to carry yourself a certain way. You've got to hold yourself to high expectations. You've got major responsibility if you're a leader. Some guys can't handle that, and he's shown me he can, so I'm proud of him for that.
Coach, what have you seen from Larry McDuffie and how he's, he had the injury, but the times that he's been in there, he's produced for you, and maybe going back a little bit further, did you see some of that coming out of high school that led you to believe that he'd be this type of player this early?
In high school, I think he showed flashes to where you expected him to be this type of player. I can't honestly stand here and tell you, and I know I referenced this a couple weeks ago talking about last year National Signing Day, but I can't stand here and honestly tell you I thought he'd be this type of player in September of his true freshman season. Again, I think it takes a special young man to come in as a true freshman and be physically ready and mentally ready to play, pick up our offense, schematically pick up our defense, and then play at a high level. And Larry is doing that. So, the thing that stands out when someone asks me, or if somebody asks me, what comes to mind when you talk about Larry McDuffie? And there's a lot of things that could come, his personality, his smile, but he loves to play football. And when you got a bunch of guys like that in your program, you're going to be successful. So he can't wait to get out and practice. And what you see him do in the games and his energy and his excitement and the way he's bouncing around the field at 121 pounds, he does it in practice. Now, he weighs 144. But that's what he does in practice. Loves to come to meetings, loves to get better, and he's a guy that is getting better every day. So he's a big part. He's become, in a short period of time, a major part of our offense.
And with A-Rod out, where does it fall in terms of your rotation? Is that where like Shane and guys like Ronnie fit in, or how will you kind of compensate for that?
We had a meeting on that yesterday morning on literally on our wide receiver depth chart, and then after last night's practice, and again we got a couple guys that are banged up and day to day right now that didn't practice yesterday, so we had another staff meeting this morning on our wide receiver depth chart and tweaked a couple of names here and there. And literally, once we get out there, when a guy's day-to-day, sometimes you don't know if he can practice until you get out there and stretch and run what we call pat and go, just run a couple fade routes and see if he can catch a football and run full speed. So, we think we got it, at least for today's practice, but we may get out there and a guy can't go again. And, when we were out there practicing last night, it was 48 hours since we played the game. So some guys were just sore from all the plays and all the hits they took. But we'll know more today. But what we've got to do a good job of as coaches, within this offensive system, and I don't know if a lot of people would know this or necessarily understand it, but within this offensive system, you have what we call an X, an H, a Y, and a Z. X and Z are outside receivers, Y and H are inside receivers, and there's really no carryover into what their assignments are. So, for instance, when you got two guys playing X, and that's what they've been working at really the last couple of months, and then you get three guys at H get injured, you can't, in this offense, if this makes sense, you can't just let's just take the second X and move him to H. Well, he won't know what the plays are. So that's something that we started doing the bye week, is taking guys and double training them so that if a guy gets banged up in a game, we don't have a second string guy standing on the sideline watching and a fourth string guy on the field playing. We can plug them into those spots. So, to specifically answer your question, I probably would need till Thursday to really see the health of our guys.